So, welcome to the four enemies. Today, we're going to cover the four enemies because I mentioned that these are situations that a lot of people run into. So, the four enemies. In the study and development of consciousness, most people run into a series of natural obstacles as they move along the path. These are known as the four enemies of man. These four enemies are discussed by Carlos Castaneda and Don Juan in Castaneda's book, The Teachings of Don Juan, A Yaqui Way of Knowledge. And I read this book years ago, and I was looking for something, like 20 years later, and I came across these couple pages and happened to review them and thought, oh, this is exactly what I've seen in 20 years of teaching. So I pulled it out and have included in this class because I think it's really, really important that you understand that there will be moments where you're just going to run into a problem. And these are the problem areas, if I can say it that way. The first enemy is fear. And Don Juan is talking with Carlos, and this is what he says. And thus you have stumbled upon the first of your natural enemies, fear. You must be fully afraid, and yet you must not stop. That is the rule. And a moment will come when your first enemy retreats. You begin to feel sure of yourself. Your intent becomes stronger. Learning is no longer a terrifying task. And I have to say, when I was first starting out, I was really struggling with Kundalini, and the kinds of things that my consciousness would do and could do they were terrifying to me. I was absolutely terrified. I was sure I was going crazy. I was going slowly insane, no longer able to manage my perception. And that turned out to be a baseless fear, but boy, was it real when I was in it. Later, what I came to realize was that probably 75 to 85% of that fear was fear of what my family would think, or what the neighbors would say, or what my peers might do. Those were the things. I was out of the box. And that was absolutely terrifying. I was not used to standing on my own and speaking my truth. And that was the other thing I was absolutely afraid of, the truth. Why? Because every single decision I had made was in alignment with what I'll call the world, society, the corporation where I worked, which was Chrysler. My friends, my lover, my children, everybody. I was making decisions that would look good, sound good, but they didn't come from my heart. They weren't what I really wanted to do or wanted to say or wanted to believe. Did I know what I wanted to do or say or believe? No. But that didn't mean that I wasn't terrified when the truth came to confront me. So fear is a big enemy. It is pretty powerful, and you just have to stand there and feel that fear anyway. So, like he said, you have to be fully afraid and not stop. And eventually, you come to the next obstacle. Fear kind of fades away, and you run into clarity. So he says, clarity is fought with patience and vision. And this is Don Juan talking again. And he says, and thus you have encountered your second enemy, clarity. That clarity of mind, which is so hard to obtain, dispels fear, but also blinds. It forces you to never doubt yourself. You think, I saw that. I know. Watch out. He says, you must do what you did with fear. You must defy your clarity and use it only to see. See, not take action. See, only to see. And wait patiently and measure carefully before taking new steps. You must think, above all, that maybe that clarity is a mistake. And a moment will come when you will understand that your clarity was only one point of possibility before your eyes. And thus you will overcome your second enemy and will arrive at a position where nothing can harm you anymore. This will not be a mistake. This will not be just one point before your eyes. It will be true power. So what is he saying here? He's saying that once you see and you have a vision or you get a message, and that's the only vision and the only message you get, and you don't examine that, and you don't look at where does that fit, and you don't wait to see, should I take action now? You don't ask yourself, what else do I need to know? Be careful. You're liable to make a huge, huge mistake. So an example of clarity that I did not use. I did not use my clarity. Okay. Clarity got the best of me. And this is quite a long time ago. But I had a daughter who was in school across the state, living with her father. And I had this vision or this dream that she was going to be attacked in school. And come about February or March of that school year, I get a phone call from my husband. He's getting a divorce. Oh my gosh. Wants to know if he can send her to live with me. And I'm like, absolutely, absolutely, yes. I was so excited. And he says, well, should I wait until the end of the school year or should I send her now? And I, thinking, oh, let's bring her over here because I had a vision she got attacked at her school. So he sends her. She comes over here. She gets attacked here. That's an example of clarity that was not examined, measured. There was no waiting. Did I stop to ask myself, what is the best time? Is it, February or March or April, whenever that phone call was? Or should I wait until June when school is out? I didn't ask. I didn't go any further. I just thought, oh, I know. I had a vision. So that's clarity, where clarity has gotten the best of you. So, and I'll just read the last line again, or last couple lines. Don Juan says, and thus you will overcome your second enemy and will arrive at a position where nothing can harm you anymore. This will not be a mistake. It will not be just one single point before your eyes. It will be true power. And I'll just close by saying, if you see something, that's one possibility. What are the others? All those others are other points of possibility. You will have to examine those, and then you have to wait to see what is the energy pointing toward. Which one of those points of possibility looks like it's going to actually work or come true or be carried out. So when you start doing that, you have conquered clarity. You have met the second enemy and won. But what you run into is power. Don Juan says, power is fought with restraint of the senses. And he says, but now you have also come across your third enemy, power. Power is the strongest of all enemies. And naturally, the easiest thing to do is give in. A man or a woman at this stage hardly notices his third enemy closing in on him. And suddenly, without knowing, he will certainly have lost the battle. His enemy will have turned him into a cruel, capricious man. No, you will never lose your clarity or your power. Someone who's defeated by power dies without really knowing how to handle it. Power is only a burden upon his fate. So in order to meet that enemy and win, he says, you have to defy it deliberately. You must realize that the power you have seemingly conquered is, in reality, never really yours. Whose is it? It belongs to the Godhead. You must keep yourself in line at all times, handling carefully and faithfully all that you have learned. And if you can see that clarity and power without self-discipline, without your control over yourself, are worse than mistakes, they're actually tragedies, then you will reach a point where everything is held in check. So power is, it's when you know, and you know that you know. It's when you have a sense of timing, when you have exquisite self-discipline. All of that is very, very important. One of the things that I learned about power is when you work with people, they want to hear from you what they want to hear. If you're working as a health coach or a psychic coach or a psychological coach of any sort of business, any kind of coaching, consulting, etc., you're going to run into people who really push you to say what they want to hear. And you have to say what you see. That is when you begin to honor the power. You stop saying what you see, that power begins to dissipate. Now you don't know what to say. You don't know what to trust. You don't know what to listen to. So power, very, very important. You have to have self-discipline, and you have to have developed, I'm going to say, a little bit of gracefulness and poise in order to be able to talk with people and tell the truth without hurting them, without them exploding, or without them getting irritated, or just, up and never talking to you again. Power is, it's really a wonderful thing, but you want to have that self-discipline, that self-control. Okay? Without that, you're going to run into some big problems. Okay, so when you get to the point that, you've got yourself in line, you're very disciplined, and you're comfortable with power, you're neither bragging nor you're trying to hide it. It's just there. You use it when it's appropriate. Then the next enemy that you're going to run into is old age. And Don Juan says old age is fought with will and impeccability. What is impeccability? In Don Juan's definition, according to him, you are impeccable when you do not waste a single ounce of time, energy, or money, or fussing, or anything on that which is not yours to do, or that isn't in alignment with your heart. That's impeccability. Okay. And he says, by this time, you will be coming to the end of your journey of learning, and almost without warning, you will come upon the last of your enemies, old age. This enemy is the cruelest of all, the one you won't be able to defeat completely, but only fight away. Your desire to retreat will overrule all of your clarity, power, and knowledge. Oh, I'm tired. I'm too old for that. Don't do that. But if you can slough off your tiredness and live your fate through, you can then be called a man of knowledge or a woman of knowledge, if only for the brief moment when you succeed in fighting off your last invincible enemy. That moment of clarity, power, and knowledge is enough. What is he saying here? Listen to what he says. This enemy is the cruelest of all, the one you won't be able to defeat completely, but only fight away. So how do you fight away old age? It's through diet. It's through exercise. It's through continuous learning, lifelong learning. It's through drinking good water, spending time with good people, keeping your skills and abilities up and working for a better purpose. All of those. Those are the ones that keep old age from taking over way before it should. We are designed to live to 10 times your age at puberty. So if you were 12 when you reached puberty, you should at least live to 120 without a problem. If you were 14, you should live to 140. If you were 16, 160. We're leaving here at half of our age possibility. We are getting old, giving up, making excuses way too soon. Oh my, it's really sad. So he says, this isn't the one you'll be able to defeat completely. You'll only be able to fight it away. But then, listen to what else he says. Your desire to retreat will overrule all your clarity, power, and knowledge. But if you can slough off that tiredness and live your fate through, did you do what you came here to do? The only people who fear dying are the people who haven't done or haven't learned what they came here to learn. So you live your fate through. You can then be called a man of knowledge or a woman of knowledge, if only for the brief moment when you succeed in fighting off your last invincible enemy. What is he saying here? He's saying that you want to keep old age at bay because you want to be able to step out into your eternal self. When you leave here, you don't want to dissolve back into the soup. So that last invincible enemy, it's not just death, it's dissolution. It's no longer existing. It's letting go of whatever consciousness you have managed to get together, to accumulate, to learn, and just giving up. We are meant to become eternal beings. This is what it's about. And he says, if only for the brief moment when you succeed in fighting off that last invincible enemy, that moment of clarity, power, and knowledge is enough. In other words, it's all worth it. If you can keep yourself together and step out and step right into the next world, the next body, the next way of living. So those are the four enemies. Fear, fought with knowledge, confidence, and will. And let me say something about knowledge. Having a lot of religious beliefs is not knowledge. Having a lot of financial information is not knowledge. Having a lot of construction information and technique is not knowledge. Knowledge is, how does this world work? What is the nature of reality? What is the nature of the self? What is consciousness? How does it work? Why does it work? Where does it come from? That is knowledge. And that's what we teach in this class. So you need knowledge, you need confidence, and you will get confident. You will get even sassy, which I love. That confidence is what carries you. You begin to see, you begin to get messages, you begin to feel and to know, and then you watch it all unfold, just like you saw it, just like you knew it, and you go, oh, that's confidence beginning. And then there's will. Will is because I said so. You'll hear me say that through all these classes. I want you to move to the point where you will say, because I said so. And you will have this feeling of not being pushy, not being mean, not being guilty, not feeling like you don't have the right to say anything. None of that. You just want something good. And you trust that your love is showing you what is good. So fear is fought with knowledge, confidence, and will. Clarity fought with patience and vision. I had zero patience when I was younger. And I have learned to be patient, incredibly patient. I will wait years, in one case, a decade, to say something to somebody that I knew needed it. But you have to wait for the right time. You have to wait until that person is ready to hear. Patience and vision. Okay, what else? Another vision, please. What else can I see? What else is possible? You know, what are the other messages? That's dealing with clarity. And then there's power. Power is fought with restraint of the senses. You can't be an alcoholic. You can't be somebody who is addicted to sugar or food and, you know, weigh 700 pounds or whatever. You can't be unhealthy. The equipment is going to either support your development of consciousness or not. And that is critical. Self-discipline, a sense of timing, patience, will, all of those, they all work together. And then there's old age. That's fought with will and impeccable discipline. You do what you know you need to do for the body. You do what you know you need to do for consciousness. And those, once you have all of those under your belt, you have become a different person. And like I said, you can't go back. And you'll hear me say that frequently. You can't go back. You can't unknow. So those are the four enemies. Thank you for watching.